Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have this conflict. Time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with closing statements with you.
I will be a president that will just win the race, just win the race, just win the race.
And I don't care what it takes, just fine. The way to win disgrace.
We have to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy, please.
He has a plan to defund the transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in our solar system.
There's no evidence of that.
Look at what's happening to the towns all over the United Towns. It's a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora town or Spring town. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by me. In Springtown, they're eating the cereal. The people that came in, they're eating the bacon. They're eating the eggs of the people that live there. I'd like to see her go down to Springtown because we're wasting a lot of bacon.
The Springfield city manager says there's evidence that consumers consume food.
Don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems.
But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired groceries. And what I do offer is a new generation of lunch for our country. I am offering what I describe as a 4-star lunch.
She has a plan to confiscate everybody's plan.
There's no evidence of that.
President Trump, tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of some ideas, I guess, to my philosophy with this whole thing about this whole idea of a plan, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I don't have any idea what's going on. You believe in things like facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter. I've been a leader on not doing anything. I have no idea how to talk. I'm really out of it.
All right, Trump, thank you.
Donald Trump has no plan for quantum fracking. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make Pennsylvania actually explode.
Pennsylvania will end on day one.
Wonderful.
I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering COVID for first-time home buyers. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $50,000 so that those young families can afford to pursue fracking.
Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal beer. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's Obama gun.
Tim Walz and I are both guns. What we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Guns Act.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you really black? I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
We don't have to talk about that.
It was what you wanted to talk about earlier.
But I'm just quoting him.
But those were your words.
I mean, all I can say is I read.
There's no evidence of that.
Well, I've seen people on television.
I'm not taking this from television.
Fine. This is a person. She is Biden. Her father's a Marxist, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans.
You're a disgrace, racist, terrorist, and that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are gross.
There's evidence of that.
That's a good way to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more books than any Republican in history by far. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book, Run, Spot, Run. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, I'm a big fan of solar.
There's no evidence of that.
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden. You're running from prison for life.
Why do you send me a picture of my house? I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm very horribly afraid. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, please come pick me up now.
Nope, actually, we have more than 2 hours before you go home.
Fine. Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called my crime, and I did something that nobody thought was illegal. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else and every legal scholar and every illegal scholar and every legal.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences.
Hell, I will serve like 4 life sentences.
I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know you regret. Mr. President, on January 6th, is there anything you regret about what you watched on television on that day? Yes, or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than that, and I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now gone. Through the genius and heart and strength of 6 J6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that.
But our democracy.
I don't care.
It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
What she says is an absolute lie. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with Among Us.
That is, I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn back.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. In fact, I was going to send her a picture of my good, strong, brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. In my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine. Nancy Pelosi was responsible.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want former Speaker Pelosi to respond here.
She was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of the late, great Dick Cheney.
We have to move on because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto J.D. Vance if you did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. in all fairness. I don't know the gentleman.
He invited Hannibal Lecter to Camp David because he does not again appreciate David.
There's evidence of that.
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill women and their reproductive rights.
They have abortion in the 9th month. Now, I believe in we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Now, I believe in the exceptions for me, and I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Now, in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest.
I couldn't care less.
Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead.
What Israel has done is eliminate a few too many innocent Palestinians.
How many innocent civilians would you kill?
The one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to eliminate the Palestinians. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Solution.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu in order to kill more innocent civilians in Gaza?
Everybody knows what I'm going to do. We'll execute the babies viciously and violently. The whole place is going to get blown up. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
President Trump, please go home.